Hey you guys, I am coming to you with a breaking news. I would say it's a breaking news because um, it's very interesting that I received this news on today, considering I had just uploaded a video 3 days ago that had some similar characteristics. So I just felt led to share this with you guys and let you know what was on my heart and how I've been walking this through in my mind today. But if you haven't checked out my video, I believe it was called Upside Down Clouds. Please check that out. That way you can have a better understanding as to why I'm bringing this up. But in the dream, in this particular video, Upside Down Clouds, I share a dream I had, which I actually had the dream January the 18th of 2013. I just went ahead and uploaded it 3 days ago, which was on March 3rd of this year. But long story short, as far as the dream goes, I had dreamt that I had seen some clouds that were very low to the point where if I reached my hand up, I could touch them. And they were everywhere. And the clouds were rain clouds. And I literally saw rain coming from these clouds. But what was very odd is that the rain wasn't pouring in a downward motion like it normally would. It was pouring in a upward motion. And there was a guy who was directing people very urgently to take shelter in the White House. He was urging people, and he even urged me to hurry up and go into the White House. And when I looked around, it was literally a White House. It was no other White House around but that one. And I could see people literally running into it. I bring that up because I have received news today that the White House is closing its doors to visitors. This is something that is very unusual, considering the White House has always allowed visitors from all over to tour the White House at different time frames within the year. And this is actually supposed to go into effect on Saturday, March 9th of 2013. That date is supposed to be the last day that any visitors will be able to go inside of the White House. Looking on the website, it says that we regret to inform you that White House tours will be canceled effective Saturday, March 9, 2013, until further notice. They're no longer going to accept visitors to tour the White House. So I found another article that was written by Paul Roderick Gregory, who is a contributor. This was on Forbes.com. And this is part of what he wrote that got my attention. He says, "We have all heard of the closing the Washington Monument game, but in shuttering the People's House, the president has gone too far. His excuse, the sequester leaves him too little money." And he says it's a bunch of malarkey. My back of the envelope calculation suggests that the sequester cuts about $350,000 from the White House visitor budget of around $4.3 million. He later says, as a late senator used to say, we are not talking about real money until we get into the billions. Anything less is not worth talking about. Let's face it, a 350,000 cut from a 4.3 million budget doesn't even show up in the rounding error in Washington. There are other expenses, in particular security, associated with Capitol tours, but these are largely overhead costs that will be borne anyway. My back of the envelope scribbling suggests the Capitol can accommodate 3 million visitors per year at a cost of $7 per visitor. If I am wrong, I gladly stand to be corrected. I am only one person working with complicated budget data. We do know that the People's House hosts some 614,000 visitors a year under security conditions that are similar to the Capitol. If the White House matches the Capitol in costs per visitor, White House tour costs the government $4.3 million per year, from which 8.2% has been cut for a loss of $352,000. And he puts in parentheses, that is thousands, not millions. He later says, I invite White House officials to correct my figures. They have the numbers. The president would characterize these Republican cuts as draconian. No other reasonable person would. He says American families cannot take a tour of the White House because of a cut of $352,000, which equals the cost of operating Air Force One for 2 hours. My guess is that they would prefer for the president to helicopter down to Camp David for his next outing to save enough to keep the White House open to the American public. The White House has the exact numbers. I invite them to explain to the American people that the White House sequester cuts are so large they require the drastic action they have taken. So obviously we can see that this contributor is basically saying that it doesn't make sense as to why this has been a decision that's been made as far as closing the White House doors. Our clouds represents trouble. And when we think of rain clouds, when we know that a storm is coming, the clouds, they turn dark. They get dark. And that's how we've been able to tell, when a storm is coming. Because, here it is. I see these storm clouds, and this guy was urging people to run to the, into the White House. Could it be that what this dream was showing me was almost like urging people to realize what is going on? Because think about it. A storm was coming, and the sense that I got in the dream, it was something was very off. Something was you can feel the intensity. And it's like to encourage people to go into the White House is if saying, urging people to realize that what we have known to be the United States, it's changing. When I think of the White House, I think of the Constitution. We the people, by the people, for the people. I think of the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights is being shredded. The Constitution is being shredded. So when we think of the United States of America, it was known to be the land of the free. It was known to be a nation that allowed freedom, that produced a sense of safety. And so it's like when he was urging people to run into this White House, it's almost like he was saying, you know, we need to fight for what is being taken away. You know, you're losing your rights, you're losing your freedom, you're losing your safety. Things are changing. What the White House used to represent is not representing that anymore. You know, I'm starting not to take it so much on a literal sense, you know, why he was urging people to go into the White House. I think it was more so a way of putting focus on the White House, because people are asking questions. Some people are noticing a change. Some people are very aware of their rights, and they see how rights are being taken away, how the Constitution is not being followed through. You know, how it's no longer for the people, by the people. And so, you know, I don't know, like, this is just what I've been feeling. And, you know, and it's also interesting that I got news that today as well, the Temple Mount has, in a sense, closed its doors. And evidently there was an altercation that had took place between some Muslim women and some Jewish women. I was trying to pull up that article, but I'm sure you can Google that and you can find that. Or if I am able to pull that up, I can just put a link under the description of this video so you can check it out. But I mean, the point is, I uploaded this video 3 days ago, and here it is. This is like some huge news that just went down today. Something that we have never really experienced before. I mean, the White House has always been open to visitors being able to tour, you know, the place. And now it's being closed from us. So not only are our rights being taken away, but now what was known to be for the people, you know, the people's house, that is being taken away as well. I mean, do y'all see what I'm saying? Do you see the big picture here? And like I said, you know, dark clouds represents trouble, a storm. There's a storm that is brewing in the spirit. And as far as the rain pouring in an upward motion, but you know, when I think of rain, I think of rain being like a blessing from God, you know, watering the earth. And, you know, for the rain to not be pouring downward, but it's pouring upward. You know, it's like almost saying, you know, well, the blessings are no longer going to the earth. Because think about it, the Hosea prophecy is being fulfilled, and is still being fulfilled even today. I mean, we see all kind of sea creatures, you know, washing up from the seas, dead birds, of all sorts dropping out of the sky, dead. Beasts of the field are dropping dead. And and it speaks about how all these things will happen, and and then the next thing will be mankind. So we know there is judgment on the earth. So when I think of rain, I'm thinking of rain being a way of blessing the earth, but God is bringing judgment to the earth. So maybe the rain going in an upward motion was more for the blessings of what is in heaven, the heavenly things, not so much the earthly things. I mean, it's not saying that, he's forgotten about us, but I mean, if we have a relationship with God, you know what I'm saying, then we are a part of the heavenlies, where we just hadn't literally been caught up yet, but we are there. So we're taking part of that blessing too. So I try so hard not to make these videos so long, but just tell me what you think. Let me know how you feel. If you have any feedback, just let me know. And I just hope this has helped you in some kind of way. But